Imagine walking to a courtroom for the first time. At the front of the room sits a judge on an elevated bench. A witness takes an oath before speaking. Lawyers stand when addressing the court. Someone whispers instructions to the judge. Another person manages documents and calls the case. But have you ever wondered, why is the judge sitting higher than everyone else? Who are all the other people sitting around the courtroom? And why do different courts in Australia have completely different powers? Today we are going to inside the Australian courtroom. We will explore what a courtroom actually looks like, who all the court officials are, and what they do, the hierarchy of Australian courts, how the system evolved over time, and how technology may transform courts in the future. By the end of this video, the next time you walk into a courtroom, you will know exactly what's happening. An Australian courtroom operates like a structured, quiet, and formal stage theatre production rather than a television drama. Every piece of furniture has a purpose, and every position reflects centuries of legal tradition. At the front of the courtroom is the bench. This is where the judge or magistrate sits. The bench is raised above the rest of the room. This isn't about ego. It represents the authority of the court and ensures everyone in the courtroom can see and hear the judge clearly. In older courts, the elevated bench symbolized the idea that justice stands above individual disputes. In front of the bench sits the bar table. This is where lawyers appear. Traditionally, only barristers and solicitors involved in the case are allowed to sit at the bar table. The term passing the bar actually comes from a physical barrier that historically separated lawyers from the public. To one side of the courtroom is the witness box. This is where witnesses give evidence and oath or affirmation. Witnesses are examined by one party and cross-examined by the other. The position of the witness box allows the judge, lawyers, and sometimes the jury to clearly observe the witness while they speak. In criminal trials in higher courts, there is also a jury box. This is where the jury sits. A jury usually consists of 12 members of the public who decide questions of fact. For example, did the accused commit the offense? The judge decides questions of law. In criminal courts, the accused person may sit in the dock. The dock is usually positioned so that the accused can see the judge and jury but remain separate from the public. Behind the lawyers sits the public gallery. This is where members of the public and journalists can watch proceedings. Australian courts operate under the principle of open justice, meaning court hearings are generally open to the public. So feel free to observe the open court if you don't have a chance to do so. A courtroom is not run by the judge alone. In fact, behind every court hearing is an entire team working quietly to keep the system running. At the center of the courtroom is the judge or magistrate in lower courts. Their job is to ensure the trial follows the law, decide legal questions, manage the proceedings, and deliver judgment. In jury trials, the judge also directs the jury on the law. Many judges have an associate. The associate is usually a legally trained assistant who helps the judge with managing documents, legal research, organizing court lists, and preparing draft judgments. Think of the associate as the judge's right hand in the courtroom. In some courts, particularly higher courts, the judge may also have a tipstaff. Historically, the tipstaff was a ceremonial officer carrying a staff symbolizing authority. Today, the tipstaff helps with managing exhibits, assisting with courtroom logistics, and coordinating between the judges, lawyers, and court staff. The registrar or court clerk plays an administrative role. They may call the case, swear in witnesses, record court orders, and manage court files. Without registrars, the court system would grind to a halt. Security officers maintain safety in the courtroom. They manage custody of accused persons, courtroom order, and enforcement of court directions. Then come the lawyers. There are usually two types of lawyers involved. Barristers specialize in courtroom advocacy. They present legal arguments and examine witnesses. Solicitors usually prepare the case behind the scenes, gathering evidence, preparing documents, and briefing barristers. In many courts, solicitors sit behind barristers during the hearing. Not every court has the same power. In fact, Australia has a carefully structured hierarchy of courts, and each level handles different types of cases. Let's start with local court and magistrates court. At the base of the system is the local court, or magistrates court in other states. The courts handle minor criminal offences, small civil disputes, and preliminary hearings for serious crimes. Most court cases in Australia begin here. Above the local court sits the district court. This court hears serious criminal trials, large civil disputes, and appeals from the local court. Each state also has a Supreme Court. Despite the name, it is not the highest court in Australia. Supreme Courts handle the most serious criminal cases like murder trials, complex civil litigations, appeals from lower courts. The Supreme Court usually has two divisions, Trial Division and Court of Appeal. Separate from the state courts is the Federal Court of Australia. This court deals with matters under Commonwealth law, such as corporations law, competition law, taxation, intellectual property, and migration law. Federal Circuit and Family Court of Australia, on the other hand, handles family law disputes, migration cases, and some federal civil matters. It was created by merging earlier federal courts to improve efficiency. At the very top sits the High Court of Australia. This is the final court of appeal. The High Court also interprets the Australian Constitution. Its decisions are binding on all other Australian courts. Australia's court system did not appear overnight. It evolved over more than 2 centuries. Australia's earlier courts were based on British legal system. When the first colony was established in 1788, courts were run by military officers. Over time, civilian courts developed across the colonies. When Australia federated in 1901, the Constitution created a new national court, the High Court. The High Court became responsible for interpreting the Constitution and resolving disputes between state and commonwealths. Over the last few decades, courts have undergone major reforms, including digital filing system, case management procedures, specialist courts, and online hearings. These changes were accelerated during COVID-19 pandemic, when courts began using remote hearings. Check my previous video detailing the 30 years of Australia's courtroom reform, from paper to AI. So what might courts look like in the future? The courtroom of the future may look very different. Some changes are already happening, including more virtual hearings, established digital evidence systems, and more friendly filing. Some experts believe that many civil disputes may eventually be resolved without physical courtrooms at all. But one thing is likely to remain: the core principles of justice, fairness, transparency, and the rule of law. Next time, when you walk into a courtroom, you might notice things that you never noticed before. The quiet work of associate, the registrar calling the case, and the careful structure of the courtroom itself. All of these details exist for one purpose: to ensure that justice is delivered in a fair and orderly way. Let me leave you with a few questions. Do you think court hearings should remain physical or move mostly online? Would AI ever be trusted to assist judges in decision-making? And if courts become more digital in the future, will that make justice more accessible or more complicated?